Hi, I'm Nisha DeGaring, host of Good Things Utah, and I've been a longtime supporter of Todd's Belief Cast. I hope you find inspiration in the courageous stories shared by the amazing people Todd features on his show. The guests serve as shoulders for us to stand on, allowing us to see a little further and cultivate belief in oneself. Remember, you have the dignity and power to change. I encourage you to keep striving and believing in yourself. Enjoy today's podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Todd Sylvester with the Todd Inspires Belief Cast. Thank you, as always, for tuning in and for believing in what we're doing here. It's really made a huge difference. You guys are sharing this with so many people, and the response has been overwhelmingly positive. So thank you so much. A shout out to my sponsors, Craig Swap and Associates, Wasatch Recovery, Thread Wallets, Maury Nutrition. And then the music you heard at the beginning, at the end of this podcast, is by my good friend Paul Cardall. He's an award-winning pianist. He's an amazing individual. So thank you, Paul, for letting us use your music. And again, you guys for tuning in week after week. And like I said, sharing these amazing stories to those that you love. And today's going to be no different. Today, we have Karen Wiltin with us. Karen, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, you bet. So Karen, she's married to Brian. You've got two daughters. Is that correct?
That is correct. A 12-year-old Etta and a 10-year-old Mary. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I know your family means a lot to you. And we're going to talk about that here. Karen is an American Ninja Warrior, guys. And if you've never seen that, you need to go check it out because it is quite incredible what these individuals do with this new sport. And it's just growing. It's getting big. You know, Karen was doing really well in it. Then she had a tragic event that happened that we're going to get into here in a minute as well. But she's definitely loves her family. She's passionate about raising amazing kids. And I'm just excited to have her on today. So Karen, can't thank you enough for being here with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So why don't we just get right to it? Like, tell us what you love about being a mom.
Goodness. That's probably the best gift ever. Just a miracle in and of itself. But I think the best gift that God can give an individual is just being a parent. And just having that unconditional love for your kids. And they've just been the best blessing to my husband and I. We've just been blessed with just smart, talented, humble young daughters. And it's just a blessing to see them grow each and every day, become more independent. Today was actually the first day of school for them today, and they're both at middle school. So I'm excited to see how their first day went when they come home in about an hour or so.
Yeah, right.
But it's bittersweet. It's fun to see them grow up, but then it's also, I'm pretty sentimental. So it's, brings a tear to my eye too, to see them, kind of spread their wings. But,
totally.
It's what a great journey to see them kind of develop over the years.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I have 4 kids of my own. I'm an empty nester now. And, like their first day of kindergarten, man, I cried my eyes out. First day of middle school, I bawled my eyes out. High school, I mean, just all these milestones, but at the same time, it was so wonderful to watch them grow and all that other things. So I can totally relate with what you're saying there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're definitely going to get into your, how you got started into American Ninja Warrior. That's no easy thing to do. First of all, you come across to me, Karen, as a very passionate person and a woman who really believes in herself. Were you like that when you were a young kid too? How were you as a child?
Yeah, I think, athletics was always a big part of my life, but I think that kind of passion or determination definitely was, I think there throughout my childhood. My parents, and, I think I have them to thank. They just instilled me with a lot of confidence. I just think, if you have parents who are always encouraging you and, say you can do this and go after your dreams and whatever that might look like, they were always there for whatever sport I was in at the time, on the sidelines cheering me on, and just, really just bathing me in words of encouragement. And so that just gave me this kind of, underlying confidence. And I think that just helped shape who I am. And I think they helped me, appreciate the importance of just working hard towards your goals and never giving up. And just I have a little underlying competitiveness too, I think.
Yes, you
which I
do.
sometimes see in my daughters as well. So that helps in sports. But yeah, I think, it started at a young age, and I really do. I feel like I thank my parents for that, just always giving me that positivity and just
Yeah.
making me think that I could do anything that I put my mind to.
Oh, that's beautiful. Isn't it great to have parents like that that are there
Mhm.
for you in that way? I would imagine you're trying to maybe instill some of those same things into your own daughters, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, as you know, being a parent, they're always watching, and they're like
Yeah.
sponges. And, I try to, be there for them and support them the way my parents supported me. And I think them also just watching me,
Yeah.
trying to achieve my goals and continuing to work, even though it gets hard, or just getting myself, dusting myself off if I fall or fail at something. But I think they see that, and they learn from that when you don't even think they're watching, but they are.
Yeah, right. They definitely are learning just by what we do and how we show
Mhm.
up in life. So, no, I think that's amazing. Um, you know, what, let's jump ahead just a little bit. You're, is it fair to say you're a woman of faith?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you mind if I ask you a few questions around like, why that means so much to you and how that's helped you not only through what you've gone through as American Ninja Warrior, but just being a mom and a wife and just, a pillar in your community.
Yeah, no, I mean, my faith is definitely the center focus of my life. I was blessed to be, I grew up in a family. We went to church pretty much every Sunday, and I was involved in, youth ministry and even in college, athletes within Christ and different programs like that.
Yeah.
And so I just have really grown in my faith even into my adult years. And I can't say enough great things about it, how it's shaped me who I am today. Um, and it just, I guess, that's, my identity in a sense, that it gives me the strength I need, the courage I need, in my ups and downs. Um, you know, I don't think I would be where I am today without my faith.
Yeah.
Um, and again, I guess I continue to look for ways to grow and just trust God. And His hand has been ever present, even in my ninja journey.
Yeah.
And it's a focus of our family today with our young children. So, yeah, I can see how it shaped my kids to help them become strong individuals. So I honestly don't know where I would be without it.
Yeah. No, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's good because it's going to kind of set a foundation of some challenges you've had that we're going to talk about. So, what led you? Here you are, a mom and a wife, and what led you to go to American Ninja Warrior? Like, what drew you to that, and why did you decide to do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of people ask me that question. As I was saying earlier, I've always been an athlete. Athletes have been my, just growing up, and I'm always kind of just looking for that next challenge. I don't have your typical ninja background. I think most females in the sport have like a gymnastic background or pole vaulters or something like that, which really, or maybe rock climbers, that kind of mirrors the sport as far as like
Yeah.
jumping and flying through the air and things like that. My athletic background really didn't mirror that. I was on a dance team at University of Colorado, which really doesn't transfer into that. And then in my young adult years, I got into triathlons. And the goal I set for myself at that time was just completing an Ironman. So I did that. And
Wow.
then, that's when I became a mom and had young children and had seen the show. And I was looking and I was thinking, as I'm sitting there on the couch, like, hey, I think I could do that. Um, but I had like babies at the time, and it just wasn't a good timing. And then when we had moved to Texas from Colorado, they have some kid gyms kind of around, and my kids were of the age where we could take them just to kind of play around. And I was kind of that dorky mom out on the obstacles, just trying it myself and thought it was fun. Um, and just kind of started to play around with it. And I found kind of an adult class and started doing some classes on the weekends, and then kind of got enough courage to sign up for some like local competitions and things like that. And it just kind of spurred into something. And I remember my rookie year, they were filming in Dallas, ironically. And it was right around my 40th birthday. And I said, well, what better way to celebrate your 40th birthday than to become an American Ninja Warrior? So I just went for it. And I was like, well, this is something I can do. Some people go on a big trip. I just decided to go for American Ninja Warrior. And I got the call to compete. And I had only been training for like 9 months prior to that. So I was definitely new to the sport. But it just kind of, when it was a whirlwind after that year.
Wow. No, I think it's incredible that you said you have this kind of competitive side about you, and obviously Ironman's no joke. I mean, that's impressive to be able
Thank
to do
you.
something like that. And again, like I said, I really love the way you carry yourself, Karen. And I think you've been a 2-time finalist, right? Is that correct?
3-time finalists, actually.
It's 3-time now. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I had that wrong. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Now I was trying to think, can I say that yet? But no, it has. This
Can you?
is
Okay.
this air. Yeah, so I can say that. So yeah, my rookie season, I ended up being the first female in Dallas, which both my husband and I remember that night. We're like, "Are we in the Twilight Zone? Like, what just happened? Like, I can't believe And I was like, I have to come back and do this again because we filmed semis pretty much the next day. On TV, it makes it look like it's a couple months apart, but it's really less than 24 hours later. So we had to get childcare. I wasn't planning on being back for the semis. And then my next year, season 11 in Oklahoma, I made it to the semis. And then the current season, which is airing right now, season 16, my semis will actually air this Monday on the 12th. So you can see how I do there. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited. That's so cool. No, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Again, I love how competitive you are, and you're really good. I've watched so many videos of you just jumping around on there and how good you are. It's amazing. It really is. Yeah. Well, I want to get to something that happened in July of 2019. You had basically a very terrifying accident that happened. Do you mind sharing with our listeners what exactly happened and kind of walk us through all of that?
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, it was in July. It was after filming for season 11, and I was actually asked to. I didn't make it to the national finals, but I was asked to test out in Vegas, which was a cool honor. And I just come back from Vegas, and I did really well, and I was basically at the top of my game. I felt like, and we were just at a routine training session at our local ninja gym, and usually on Sundays, my whole family will come. We kind of make it a family event, even though I'm kind of training with my team. My kids are kind of over the side with my husband. And so everybody was there. And it was just kind of a crazy fluke accident where I was jumping from a trampoline to a bar. And I don't know if the bar kind of rolled out of the cradle or my hands maybe peeled off at the same time. It was just like the perfect storm. And I had so much momentum going into that kind of obstacle. I was trying to like lache up to another bar, so I'd really whip my legs around, and I kind of just did a rotational thing in the air and hyperflexed my neck and landed on the back of my neck and my head. And I just, instantly, I just knew there was something really wrong happening. So yeah,
Wow.
it was really scary and terrifying, and my kids were there, which was really scary for them. And I got wheeled away on a stretcher with an ambulance. And yeah, that was the beginning of a long journey for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you broke a couple bones, if I'm not mistaken, in your neck, tore some ligaments. And
Yep.
I think the doctors were like just shocked that you did not have any spinal injury.
Yes, I was very lucky. They had shown me another picture of an MRI with similar injuries. And unfortunately, that patient wasn't as lucky, and they had a lot of bruising on their spinal cord. And my injury was so high. It was around like, C1 to C4 was kind of the main injury. Yeah. And I could have been, seriously, long-term injury that maybe would have never recovered from that. And ironically, I work as a physician assistant, and my first job as a PA, I worked in neurosurgery for 8 years. And so, laying there on the ground, I was kind of went into medical mode, and I knew I could move my fingers and my toes, but I had seen all too often, unstable fractures where you can move, and sometimes a little piece of bone or something will hit, your spinal cord or become unstable or make the injury worse. So I was just, closing my eyes and praying to God that, my spinal cord would be okay, just over and over again. And by the grace of God, I'm able to move all my extremities and, had a fairly full recovery from all of that. But the doctors were really worried about the instability in my neck. So there was some talk about doing like a fusion, which is a surgery where they fuse multiple bones together if it didn't heal
Okay.
correctly. And again, I kind of knew what that outcome would look like with a very limited range of motion in my head and my neck. So they just kept me in the collar for a long period of time. And every like month or so, I would go back and do, flexion extension films to just see how my bones were healing and was there any
Yeah.
instability that they needed to go and maybe consider for surgery. So there's a lot of unknowns. And I think that was the scary part. I wasn't quite sure. It was a lot of
Yeah.
waiting and, praying that all my, checkpoints, I would continue to move forward. And luckily I did. And I wasn't able, or I didn't have to undergo surgery. And it was just a longer recovery that was just slow and
Yeah.
pretty scary.
Wow. Yeah. Again, I'm trying to picture this as you're telling me the story, and I'm getting like my heart's starting to pound, and I can just only imagine how, I mean, it had to have been really hard for your daughters to see their mom get hurt like that. How did you help them kind of navigate through this? Because that was probably pretty traumatic for them.
Very traumatic. Yes, my youngest was going to be going into. This happened over the summer, and my youngest was going into kindergarten, and my oldest was going into first that fall. And I really remember I was pretty much stuck at the house all summer in a recliner, and my husband had to start working from home. This was pre-COVID when it wasn't really a thing, but they were very understanding and let him, because he's basically taking care of me 24/7. And I really just remember my community stepping up and just being amazing. They set up play dates for my kids and were able to take them to camps and different things like that. So they weren't home with me all the time, just not doing anything, because it just was really changed our livelihood. I couldn't work anymore as a PA. I couldn't scrub into any surgeries or anything like that. I couldn't drive. I couldn't lift up my kids anymore. So it was just the little things you take for granted. My husband had to shampoo my hair and blow dry my hair for me. And it was definitely, it took a village. My community, like I said, really stepped up. And
how did your hair look? Did he do a good job?
My hairdresser was really sweet. And, girls got to feel something good about something. Here I'm wearing a soft collar all the time. My hairdresser did come to my house, and he would do my highlights only on the top part of my head. Like, who knows what was happening down here, but he would come, and I had a shower collar that I had to switch in and out of 24/7. And I would have to lay down, and my husband would slide one off and then slide the other one on. And then he'd put the highlights on my hair, and I could just shampoo it out myself. So it did grow long, but I did feel better after he came. So he was so sweet, because I couldn't go anywhere to get my hair done. So I got the top part of my head done.
Yeah, I know that's important. My wife, her hair, it's got to look good.
Yeah, I was like, well, I don't know how great I look wearing a collar, but my hair is going to look on point. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thanks for sharing that. And, again, this long journey of just getting yourself back. And how did your faith play a part in this, going through this, especially initially?
Oh gosh. Yeah. I think, man, it's just, I think when you hit a low like that, because I'd been so active, and here I just my whole world was like flipped upside down. And I think it's very easy when you start thinking about everything that has just changed to go into a very dark place, and it just can spiral downwards from there. And my saving grace was my faith, but really, since I couldn't do much, I listened to Christian music like 24/7. And that was really what helped me not spiral out of control. And I just would stare at the ceiling sometimes, and sometimes I would just cry silently. I just remember like little tears, but I would hear songs of encouragement and strength, and that I'm going to be okay, and that God's going to, this is for some greater good. So I really can't thank like Christian music enough. Like, I will give a shout out to Way FM right now, because they have been my cornerstone this whole time. And there's just songs you hear at the right moment that you need to hear. and just music really speaks to me. So it was kind of a sense of worship and fellowship, but it gave me the strength I needed when I couldn't find words or answers or
Yeah.
why. I just knew that I was going to make it through a stronger person, and I didn't know how that was going to look or what that was going to be like, but I had hope. And when you have hope, I feel like you can keep going every day.
Wow.
So just the power of prayer, you can't underestimate that.
Yeah.
So it was really just a growing. My faith grew, and I never let go of that hope that I was going to make it through, and I was going to be stronger in some sort of fashion. Maybe not physically, but spiritually, and I was going to be a better person because of what I went through. So
Yeah.
that's how I got through.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. I agree. Music is so powerful, and what it can do for our overall emotional stability and spiritual stability and all that. So thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
You know, it's one thing to overcome this injury and get through it, but to not only do all that and then decide you're going to also go back to being an American Ninja Warrior. Tell us about that journey when you decided, you know what, I'm going to get through this, but at the same time, I'm also going to get back to doing what I was doing before.
Yeah, it was. I didn't know right off the bat, like even what that was going to look like, but I knew I wanted to at least try.
Yeah.
I think, you know, there were some times where I was, it just was, I knew it was something that I wasn't ready to say this was the end of my story. I just
Yeah.
wanted to give it a go. And I didn't know if I was going to enjoy it as much as I did the first time, because I think a lot of ninja is mental, to be honest with you. There's always just got to send it 100% or you're not going to be
Yeah.
successful. And there's a fear factor in that. And I didn't know I was going to enjoy the sport as much as I did prior to my injury. So, and then also my girls were a big, battle as far as I didn't know if they were going to be okay with it because they were very scared of mommy
Right.
getting hurt again.
Yeah.
And they did not want me to go back initially.
Mm.
And so I kind of took it back when I first went back to the ninja gym, which was kind of a neat story at first. But my first step back in the ninja gym, which I wasn't great training, but so I was starting at basically ground zero, but
Yeah.
was the day anniversary of when I broke my neck. And
Oh, wow.
it was pretty much just to commemorate what God had done in my life for that past year. And like I said, I was really not in ninja shape, but it was just something to just thank God of like that year that I made it. And it was really bittersweet and just a moment I always remember. But I was able to walk through the same doors that I had been wheeled out of a year prior. And some of my teammates kind of surprised me and showed up that day and kind of like cheered me on. And, I just did a couple of things here and there, nothing crazy, but it was just saying like, hey, I at least made it this far. And then when I decided to just kind of start training to see if I really wanted to continue to pursue the sport, I just was, like I said, took it back to the beginning where it just involved my girls, and we just would go and play around, and it wasn't really anything serious, but just to see if I enjoyed still doing the sport. And I slowly kind of started getting stronger and saying, okay, I think I can start doing this now and this. And my girls became a little bit not as scared because we were taking it really slowly. And so little by little, even my husband too, I wanted everybody to be, because I can't do this without their support.
Right.
It takes, I really need them to back me up as far as how time sacrificial it is and all
Yeah.
that. And so that when they understood that I was, being really smart and safe and really just, judging risk versus reward on certain obstacles and stuff, I think we slowly chipped away at that kind of family fear of something happening again. And,
Yeah.
but ultimately, I did want to kind of go back for myself in the fact that, I didn't want to, just live with this. Well, this happened and I had to give it up, because I just knew that I
Yeah.
wanted to challenge myself again, I guess, to get stronger and overcome that fear. And I just didn't
Yeah.
want that to be the end of that story.
No, beautifully said. Thank you for sharing that. That's powerful. And I love how you rallied around your family, you rallied around your faith. And I love that you said, you know what, I don't want that to be the end of my story. I'm gonna actually rewrite or continue writing this. And
Yeah.
that's powerful. Again, I think it also plays back to your competitive spirit.
Yeah. That's
You're
true.
like, I'm gonna do this and you
Yeah.
watch me kind of thing. I want to ask the question, How did you overcome that initial fear? Like maybe the first time you're jumping back on to grab a bar, like, because I would imagine that brought up a lot of traumatic feelings for you as well.
Oh yeah. Even today, sometimes there's some certain movements, but again, I feel like, and again, I can think about them.
Yeah.
I'd start off with just getting my grip strength and just doing like handheld things and working to trust my grip, even to catch me on like an obstacle like that. And then when I would get to something that really wasn't that, hard, but for me to start off again back at ground zero, I would have a coach of the gym just be like, hey, can you just stand there? And just, I would have whoever was available. So it would be either a coach of our team or just the coach of the gym that day. And again, I can't thank the ninja community enough for just
Yeah.
teammates and just their presence of standing there just in case, it was just even just a 4-foot lache would help me overcome that fear and their
Right.
encouragement. And so I would just take baby steps and say, okay, now I got this one. Okay, maybe I'm going to try this one. But the ninja community itself is just so supportive and so encouraging. They're just positive over, I guess like stereotypically, I would just say just very positive. We always root for each other, even though we're technically competitors. And my teammates have been amazing and very supportive. And I don't know if I'd been able to kind of chisel away at that fear if it wasn't for their support
Yeah.
physically there just to help me spot her. They'll put an extra mat down when I need it.
Sure.
Because it's still a battle today because I'm like, oh, that kind of reminds me of this, or I'm a little worried about this.
Hmm.
And just making sure you're being as safe as possible. Um, and again, I don't even know how to explain how that accident initially happened because it's I think I'm the only one in the ninja community that's ever happened to.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
I think my teammates and just once you accomplish something, you kind of build up that confidence again. Like, okay, I trust my grip strength. I trust my body awareness that I can start to do these obstacles I once did again.
Yeah. I'm very impressed with the American Ninja Warrior family, if you will. I've had several on my show now, and just the way you guys treat each other, the way you guys support each other, you're always cheering someone on and wanting them to do well. You don't normally see that in sports,
That's true. That
right?
is true. Yeah.
And I'm sure that played a huge, like you said, it played a big part in just how you felt coming back and everyone supporting you and wanting to help you out. And so I think, I don't know, I wish we were more like that and just in humanity in general, that we just were
Oh,
constantly cheering people on, right?
yeah. Amen to that for sure. Yeah. It's a great community. And that was another reason it had, like I said, Jesus's hand has been on my path
Mm,
this whole time. And I think opened the doors to this community that are just such other kind of ninja family that I have and such a great support structure, not even for me, but even for my kids to be around when we train.
yeah,
They're encouraging them. And even though ninja's not their main sport, but they see this positivity and this light and this encouragement from, like I said, quote unquote, like kind of teammates, but also competitors at the same time, and how we all support each other. And I love that they're introduced to that community as well because
yeah,
they just love training around my teammates. So
yeah.
it's
I
been
love
great.
it. I love it. What message do you hope to convey to your daughters through this comeback?
I guess many things as far as I want to support them whatever their dreams are. My goal for me was to get back on that stage, just to again, prove to myself that I could tackle that fear. And I just hope that, when they're going after whatever dream they have, they're probably going to have setbacks.
Yeah,
And I encourage them. I want to teach them that they're strong enough and they have God by their side, and they can continue to overcome those setbacks and continue to pursue their goals because it's not always going to be easy.
yeah,
Um, and I think, you know, teaching them that they're stronger than they know, and that, really with God by your side, anything is really, truly possible. And um, I guess, yeah, just all of those things to, face fear, that God calls us to be strong and courageous, and that they're children of God and that they're loved. And God has a great plan for each one of them. And I just can't wait to see what it is. So I
yeah,
just encourage them. I just want them to know that setbacks are not necessarily something that you have to look at as negative because I truly am a stronger person today and stronger in my faith today because of what happened. And I'm very blessed and very lucky that it ended up where I'm still able to compete.
Yeah.
But I do think, trusting God through that situation has made me a stronger individual.
I love that. Was there a time, and I'm sure there was, where did you ever doubt the comeback in your own mind? Were you like going, what am I doing? Or did that ever come into your mind? Or did you just like, I'm just curious if that was something you wrestled with.
Yeah, I knew I wanted to try. I guess early on I wasn't quite sure because even some of my doctors weren't super pumped about me even considering going back because I was like, so when can I go back to the ninja gym? And they're like, I don't know if you should do that because they see people flying through the air and all this kind of stuff and weren't super supportive of that at first. So at first I was like, oh my gosh, is this going to be the end of it? But as I healed and things were turning out to be like things were stronger and I didn't have to get surgery. I definitely had days for sure though coming back where I was just like, man, I can't do anything. I mean, it was just such a humbling experience to know like
Yeah.
you're up here and then I started back and you just, it was just so humbling and disappointing. And I think that's really when you just have to dig deep and, keep pushing on to not let that overwhelm you with disappointment of what a hard climb it's going to be. I guess I didn't know it was going to be as hard as it was going to be. So I definitely had doubts throughout the day, but I just tried to shove those away after a bad training day and just kept pushing through. I didn't know if I'd necessarily make it back to how strong it was before. And I think mentally I'm still probably not as, still have that in the back of my mind. So I'm not quite the same athlete I was. So I think some ways I'm stronger. And then some ways I'm a little bit, stronger. Maybe I don't know if it's physically or mentally or how they kind of work together. But I just know I'm a different athlete today than I was before. So there were doubts. I just tried to push them aside and keep trucking forward.
I love that. I'm sure this has opened up some opportunities for you as well. I mean, here we are on this podcast, which is awesome, and it's definitely more my honor that you're on here. Is this opened up other opportunities for you to like maybe even go? A lot of times when someone goes through something traumatic like this and they overcome, people want you to come speak and share your story and things like that. Have you had any of that, or do you want to grow this and kind of share your triumph with people, or is that something you'll just allow to come naturally if it does?
I mean, if there's ever an opportunity for me to continue to be like all glory to God and spread His kingdom and fellowship, I am all about it.
Okay.
I necessarily don't seek out opportunities, but if that's in God's will, absolutely. I was, recently we were competing at Worlds in California for like a world competition for ninja, and there was it was called Warriors on a Mission, and it deal with overcoming obstacles, which is a kind of a mobile ninja ministry, if you will. And I was able to speak at that, which was just be a panelist and kind of talk about openly with my faith and other ninjas who share, their faith as well. So that was a great
nice
program to be a part of. And I hope that I see more of those, even just within the ninja community, because that was, really just opening up to a lot of our younger ninjas or youth. And what a great platform to be able to encourage other, younger ninjas, but then also as a mom, just share my story with whoever I can resonate with. So absolutely, if I can, like I said, openly share my faith and encourage people who are going through a hard time, I would love to be able to help others if I can.
Yeah, love it. So what's next for you? Like what, I mean, you're the American Ninja Warrior. Do you have other plans in your mind? Like I'm going to go after this, or I'm going to maybe try this. Do you plan out ahead like that? And what would it be?
Right. You mean athletic wise or just
or just anything, like whatever, it could be anything. Yeah.
Right now I still, definitely love the sport of ninja, and coming back for season 16 has been great. And I think after every season, and obviously I'm not going to spoil how this season ends, but you're always like, oh, wow, that was fun. But, I even want to accomplish this or accomplish this. So, season 17 is right around the corner. And so, hopefully I'll get another chance. I would definitely be up for trying it again,
Yeah.
God willing. And, so athletic wise, I really still love being a part of the ninja community and continuing to grow in the sport. As you said, it's definitely growing. And this was my first time to Worlds, which was just last week. And that was a great experience just to be able to
Yeah.
intermingle with ninjas. We had 14 other countries represented, which was amazing.
Jeez.
And even, the Masters division was really impressive as far as how many people are competing, and they're even making like a 50 plus division because there's so many people. So
Wow.
it's pretty crazy. And the kind of the word or the buzz that the Olympics want to do something with something ninja related and things like that. So
That
at
would be
Worlds, I
amazing.
was able to get a little spot on the U.S. national team, which was a cool thing to learn about. So maybe that will open doors to something athletic, my next endeavor. So we'll see. I'm always, like I said, I love the competitiveness of the sport, the growth of the sport, and seeing what other doors of opportunities may come my way. We'll see.
That's awesome. Well, I love, like I said, the way you carry yourself. You really stood out to me, just not just hearing your story and what you've been through, but just, again, just your passion around your faith, passion around your family, especially your daughters, and how much you care for them and want them to be successful. And the example you're setting for them really inspires me to want to be a better dad.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I hope you know that, like, really. And I really am the lucky one in the sense that, because I've been doing a lot of research and studying you for the last couple of weeks.
Oh,
And
well,
it's kind of fun to like really start to like, man, this woman's the real deal. And so, yeah, I just want you to know how much I appreciate you and your example of, wearing your faith on your sleeve. It means a lot.
well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's been an honor being here, and I just appreciate what you do as far as just sharing people's inspirational stories and letting them talk about their faith and having a platform to do that to reach other people. So appreciate what you do.
Thank you. If there's one person right now, Karen, listening to you who is struggling, they're listening to your voice this very moment, and they're in a dark place. They're not sure what to do. What would you tell that one person right now?
I would just tell that person that they are seen, they are loved, they are not alone, and um, I would encourage them to, if they have faith, to lean into that. And
Mm-hmm.
God is always listening. And really, the power of prayer is just an amazing, amazing tool and something to have an intimate relationship with, the Savior of the world, who wants to know that individual person on a very intimate, you know, way in relationship. And I just encourage them to seek out somebody who they can ask for assistance or help or guidance, but just really letting them know that they have value and worth, and they're a child of God, and that they are loved, and they have worth. And I just pray that they have a community, or find a community or a person that they can seek out to help them through their setback or whatever they're struggling in.
Well said. Beautifully said. If someone wants to reach out to you, Karen, who's listening to this, and they want to just know more about you or follow you on American Ninja Warrior, or, maybe even want to ask you a question, what would be the best way for someone to do that?
Sure. Well, on Instagram, it's just Karen.Wiltin. It's Wiltin. I'll get with the O. I'm trying to get better at social media, but as you probably know, it's like a second job. So when you're also working and a mom and trying to train, but I definitely, I'm open for any questions, or just they want to just reach out, that'd be great. Or Facebook, I'm also there. It's Karen Luke D. Wiltin. That's a tough middle name, but as far as my maiden name, it's harder to spell, but I'm sure they'll find me.
Sure.
So each one of those, direct message or Instagram. Usually the Karen Wilton one is more my ninja story,
Yeah.
and where people can reach out if they're interested. Yeah.
Great. I'll put those links in the show notes when we go live so they can click right to you. So we'll make sure that those are there.
Perfect.
And I encourage anyone to reach out to Karen, especially if you're struggling, you just have a question for her. She's obviously been through a lot. She carries herself so well, and I think you'll get some great advice from her. So, but Karen, I want to thank you for taking some time today. I know you're anxious to see your kids when they get home from middle school today, and but I'm really honored and blessed that you took the time to be on our show.
Thank you so much, Todd, for having me. It was so much fun speaking with you. And yeah, I was glad they didn't come in the door with all the dogs barking. And that was my biggest fear. I was like, it's going to be crazy town in here. So we probably just missed him or coming up in the next 5 minutes with the bus or so. But it was a pleasure speaking with you again. Thank you for all that you do for just the community and the listeners.
Thank you.
You're just sharing positivity and sharing faith. So thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you. Thanks for being here. And don't go away yet, Karen.
Oh, okay.
But I want to thank everyone for tuning in once again. And thanks to my sponsors. And again, for the beautiful music by Paul Cardall. Love you. Thank you for your belief in me and for these amazing stories. Keep sharing them. Share this story with everyone that you know and love. They'll be inspired by Karen's resiliency and her faith and again, the way she carries herself as a wife and mom. So I love you guys. And until next time, we'll talk to you soon.